Some disasters kill people. Others change the world forever. A ship once called unsinkable vanished into freezing darkness. An invisible gas cloud turned an entire city into a nightmare. And a single reactor explosion changed how humanity sees nuclear power forever. These are 10 real disasters that didn't just shock the world, they rewrote history. In 2010, an explosion on the Deepwater Horizon oil rig in the Gulf of Mexico triggered one of the worst environmental disasters in modern history. For 87 days, oil poured into the ocean, contaminating vast areas of water, coastlines, and marine ecosystems. It wasn't just an industrial failure. It became a global warning about what can happen when high-risk energy systems go wrong. The disaster changed offshore drilling regulations, environmental oversight, and the way the world viewed corporate responsibility. In 1986, millions watched live as the Challenger space shuttle launched into the sky and then broke apart just 73 seconds later. The disaster shocked the United States and the entire world because it happened in front of a live audience, including classrooms full of children. Investigations later revealed that a failed O-ring seal in cold weather contributed to the catastrophe. It became one of the most important lessons in engineering risk, decision-making, and the cost of ignoring warning signs. The Hindenburg was supposed to represent the future of luxury air travel. Instead, in 1937, the giant airship caught fire while attempting to land in New Jersey. Within moments, the massive Zeppelin was consumed in flames in front of cameras and witnesses. The disaster didn't just destroy a ship, it destroyed public confidence in passenger airships almost overnight. It became one of the most iconic turning points in transportation history. In 1947, a ship carrying ammonium nitrate exploded in Texas City, creating one of the deadliest industrial accidents in U.S. history. The blast was so powerful, it triggered fires, destroyed nearby buildings, and caused a chain reaction across the port. Entire sections of the city were devastated. The disaster changed how hazardous materials were handled, stored, and transported, and became a permanent reminder that one mistake in an industrial system can destroy far more than expected. During World War I, 2 ships collided in Halifax Harbor, one of them carrying massive amounts of explosives. What happened next was catastrophic. The resulting explosion was one of the largest non-nuclear blasts in human history. It destroyed large parts of the city, shattered windows miles away, and left a permanent scar on Halifax. The explosion became a historic example of how a single collision can trigger unimaginable destruction. In 2011, a massive earthquake struck Japan, followed by a devastating tsunami. But the disaster didn't end there. At the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant, flooding disabled critical cooling systems, leading to reactor failures and radioactive releases. It became the worst nuclear disaster since Chernobyl, and a global turning point in how the world thinks about nuclear safety, natural disasters, and energy infrastructure. It was a reminder that sometimes one disaster can trigger another. The Titanic was called unsinkable. In 1912, that belief died in the freezing waters of the North Atlantic. After striking an iceberg on its maiden voyage, the ship slowly filled with water and sank, becoming one of the most famous maritime disasters in history. But Titanic's real legacy was bigger than the ship itself. It transformed maritime safety laws, lifeboat regulations, and emergency communication standards around the world. It wasn't just a tragedy. It was a lesson paid for in lives. In 1984, A toxic gas leak from a pesticide plant in Bhopal, India, created one of the worst industrial disasters in human history. A deadly cloud spread through the city while people slept, exposing thousands to poisonous chemicals. The scale of suffering was enormous, and the long-term health consequences lasted for years. Bhopal became a global symbol of industrial negligence, weak safety systems, and the devastating human cost of corporate failure. It forced the world to ask a painful question. How many lives can be lost before safety becomes non-negotiable? In 1986, reactor number 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant exploded during a safety test gone catastrophically wrong. The blast and resulting radioactive release turned the site into one of the most infamous disaster zones in history. Entire communities were evacuated. A nearby city was abandoned, and the name Chernobyl became permanently linked to fear, radiation, and the hidden dangers of technological failure. It didn't just affect one region. It changed global attitudes toward nuclear power forever. In 1952, London was swallowed by a thick, toxic smog so dense that visibility dropped to almost nothing. But this wasn't ordinary fog. It was a deadly mix of coal smoke, pollution, and cold weather that trapped poisonous air over the city for days. Transportation stopped, daily life collapsed, and the health consequences were devastating. The Great Smog became one of the clearest warnings in history that the air around us can be just as dangerous as fire, war, or explosions. It changed environmental policy forever.